before we end the podcast, I really wanted to go over what noir is and if you
Yeah,
could tell us more about it.
yeah. Well, if you recall, I described the stuck situation that somebody discovers about their spy life after they've gotten through the first, crossing the line, and then the excitement of getting hooked up with your handler and being taught all the trade craft and all that is so interesting and all that. And then you begin to realize, oh my God, what have I done? That's the signature statement for somebody in that next phase when they realize that they really boxed themselves in. And they don't have much of a choice, as I mentioned. If they try to get out of it with the handler, they're risking some very bad consequences, and they just know better not do that. But to turn themselves in, well, you better not do that either. So you get stuck with you made your bed and now you have to sleep in it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but is that good for the United States? The answer is no. Why? Because it means that that spy is pushed deeper into the arms of the spy handler and the KGB, so to speak. And that means more and more classified and important material is being given away to our enemy. This is not good. So I was trying to think of what is a solution, and the solution is the following: a safe, government sanctioned off ramp exit for somebody who realizes that they want to stop being a spy. Right now, there are no options of how that can work out for that spy to quit that career and spare our country. So my point is that it serves on national purposes to figure out a system whereby they can turn themselves in, but safely, and stop spying. Now, I had to build, what would that include? The toughest nut to crack here is that you'd have to take off one specific punishment. Otherwise, nobody would want to avail themselves of it. And that makes people choke. Namely, you got to take jail off the table, because I put myself in the shoes of a spy. If I was spying in the stuck with the same conditions that I've been describing, and they said to me, "Yeah, you could turn yourself in, and we'll probably be nicer to you and not give you as long a jail sentence," I'd say to myself, "You know what? Screw you. I'll take my chances." So I wouldn't turn myself in. Well, that defeats the program. So you've got to get rid of that as the worst punishment. But all the other punishments you'd say, they'd have to lose their job, lose their clearance, maybe change their identity. They'd have to give up all their ill-gotten gains, whatever money they've gotten, be subjected to lifelong scrutiny of their finances to make sure that nothing is squirreled away that's illicit. On and on, different punishments, but not jail.
I thought
And what
the
do we, yes.
Sorry, I thought the punishment was execution or life in prison. Would a smaller jail sentence be more?
No, it wouldn't, because you wouldn't trust the
Yeah.
system for sticking with it. Believe me, I can tell you stories why that would be true, but I won't go into that now. Now, as for the execution, historically speaking, the last spies that were executed were the Rosenbergs, and that was in the early 50s.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody has been executed ever since. So that even though they talk about that as the ultimate punishment, it's a moot point because it never will happen. We're past that now for that being the punishment. So what does that leave? It leaves jail. That's the biggest, worst punishment.
Mm. And taking it off the table, well, obviously, I mean, I don't know. Isn't there a sense of deterrence, or is there clearly not from what we've
There
seen?
is, of course, that's the big argument against what I'm proposing, except that, let's think about deterrence. And we know what the punishments for murder are in this country, right?
Hmm.
Execution does happen for murder, and lifetime jail sentences for murder, and very long sentences for murder. And that's done a great job of stopping any murders from happening in the United States. Not. It just hasn't happened, has it?
No.
So what do we know from this? And for the most part, and any cop will agree with this, most murders, but not all, are committed in the heat of passion. They're crimes of passion. Are people sitting down and thinking with a calculator their odds of getting caught, therefore, whether or not they will be deterred by a long sentence or even execution in the heat of a crime? No. That's the
Right.
decision to do these things is made when somebody's not rational, when they're being crazy and furious and whatever. So the arguments that you lose deterrence, I think, is weak. I'm not saying it's zero, but I believe, based on my studies, that the decision to spy is not being made when somebody's got all their marbles together. So that deterrence does not figure into it anyhow from the start. So losing deterrence is not a big loss because it wasn't there in the first place.